should have remembered.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Partners in Crime. I'm Shawna.
And I'm Annie. And
today is the day.
Today is the day ever.
That we get to talk about what I would say is probably, would you agree?
It's my favorite episode.
What we think is the best episode of Law & Order Criminal Intent. A Person of Interest, the season 2 season finale.
Whoop, whoop. That's what everybody's saying, by the way. They're so pumped.
So this episode, it's so concentrated. There are no filler. It might be a little bit tough describing what happens in this episode, but how does it begin?
Well, so in the previous episode, Zoonotic, there was a person who was, diseasing people with these zoonotic diseases.
Yeah, Dr. Roger Stern.
Yeah, Dr. Roger Stern. And so then he's trying to... I guess they get the guy, but he's missing some vials of anthrax.
Yeah,
because he's got these samples. Anyways, in A Person of Interest, these vials show up immediately.
Yeah, so the takeaway from Zoonotic is that there is this missing strain of anthrax, and it's we know that it is a South African strain.
Right.
Yeah. So this is a little bit of a follow-up from that episode. Yeah.
It was... This lady is found dead.
Connie Matson.
She's inviting somebody in, and she gets murdered. And she had anthrax in her fridge, and they...
Actually, she had the boosters in her fridge. It was the boosters for the vaccine.
So they find the guy who gave the boosters to her, and what does he do? Just say...
So she's former Air Force, and actually how they sort of trace it is... There's a space in her fridge which looks suspicious. There was obviously something that was removed from there. And then Goran finds this kind of gel on the floor, and it's from the ice pack for these boosters, and this bag
actually has the serial number, so they just have to track that.
So they find this other guy from the Air Force, and he admits that he sold her or got this anthrax for her to sell. So there's missing anthrax.
Which is a big deal because it is so, yeah.
Yeah.
So they actually, it leads to this guy named Daniel Croydon. Mm-hmm. And we don't like this guy. He's behind on his child support. He's he's really annoying, really passive aggressive. Very arrogant. If you've watched Lost or our Lost podcast... He's a real Rudzinski.
Right off the bat, he's just giving real Rudzinski vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I have a teacher that's just like him.
Looks like him, right?
Well, he also acts.
Oh, okay.
So we call him Croydon.
Yeah, so the person of interest is this Dr. Croydon because they find out that he was in South Africa
right.
Around the same time.
And it's a South African strain
yeah.
of anthrax.
And so then they talk to his ex-wife, and...
Goran is just really oh, I know the type.
Yeah.
He's very hyperfixated on this profile.
Yeah. And he says that a few times. I know the type.
Right off the bat, Eames is a little bit ooh, but she does that sometimes too. So what are we supposed to really do with that? But, this Croydon guy is just so upset. And then he actually ends up coming into the station, and Goran just kind of goes off on him because, his wife got sick with cancer and went back to New York, and he didn't go back to New York. He stayed in wherever he was.
Yeah.
And Goran doesn't like that. And so there's this real argument, and poor Eames is just kind of sitting there she wants to get Goran to calm down, but
yeah.
it's a heated argument.
Because usually Goran keeps it under control, right? And he's very strategic in terms of the interrogation and how it builds up. And Eames, you can see from her reaction that he's a little bit out of control. He's pushing too hard and becoming way too confrontational with this Croydon guy. And yeah, Croydon has a really entertaining freak out where he's just like so mad, and he's like, you people have no idea who you're dealing with, you'll find out, I promise you, like
well, yeah, and so he leaves the station
in a huff, like walks
he's just
out on
so
the
mad
lawyer.
Yeah, and like rightfully so, with Goran like accusing him of all this stuff. Like obviously he's not a great guy anyways, but
But Goran goes a bit too far, and you can see Eames is frustrated because she really feels like they could have gotten more out of him in that interrogation. But now he's left, right?
Yeah. And then the next day, sadly enough, Deakins gets a way too fast phone call, unrealistically fast, and he's committed suicide. He's hung himself in the shower. And
left a suicide note. And
then later that day, even more anthrax was found on a train. So it wasn't him.
The missing anthrax is found on a train to like Montreal. So it's just this really difficult scene because you can tell like Goran's already feeling bad because he pushed this guy so hard, and the next thing you know, he kills himself, and like the suicide note kind of like implicates Goran, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
definitely.
and now like the former member of the like army interrogation unit, is like falsely accusing me. So Goran's already like upset, and like Carver surprisingly is like really, trying to comfort him, saying, you didn't do anything wrong, like it was his choice.
But the goal was to get these reporters and the news out that this detective has pushed this guy to suicide, even though he was innocent. And
then, Deakins comes in, and you can sort of see, like, just on his face, he's like, yeah, like, so I guess we were barking up the wrong tree, like, he wasn't the guy after all. And so Deakins leaves, and then what does Eames say?
Like, you didn't listen. And she says she would never say anything in front of the captain, but, like, she is so gentle with him. But yeah, like he was wrong, and he, this guy is dead because of what he has done.
And she says something like, you didn't listen, Bobby. And like she rarely calls him Bobby.
That's not true.
She says, you didn't listen, Bobby, you didn't listen to what his wife said, which I'm not exactly sure what she's referring to.
No, but
I think maybe this sort of Mark Bailey idea of like, he can't really follow through on anything. And so maybe that's what Eames meant. I'm not sure. But so it's a real low point for Goran because...
And we hate seeing him beat himself up like that.
Like, not only is he, seemingly kind of responsible for pushing this man over the edge, he had the wrong guy anyway.
Yeah.
But then... Goran's kind of looking into things. It's like the next day, everybody's sort of looking at him, whispering. There's like headlines in the paper, that he's incompetent. And then what does he say to Eames? How did he spend his night?
Oh, just looking at the letter and stuff. And so the thing is that everything is like kind of pointed outwards. All this anger is pointed outwards at him rather than inward. Because why, if you're suicidal, you kill yourself because...
That anger is directed inward. Yeah. And even the suicide note doesn't really add up because he's lashing out, right?
So...
And then there's a couple other things, too. Like, one of the reasons that he was a person of interest is because they found stuff in the furnace of his building.
Right.
That was sort of...
a stamp package on bentonite, which keeps it from sticking to surfaces and stuff.
But then Goran's like, well... why didn't it burn? And like, why would he burn this stuff in a furnace that wouldn't get hot enough to actually burn it up? And Eames is like, well, yeah, he would know better. Like, he wouldn't do that.
And that's what we love about Eames. She just goes right back to, believing him and like...
Yeah, and giving him, the benefit of a doubt, right? She's not just like, oh, Bobby, you just don't want to take a responsibility. And then the other thing is this Connie Matson, she was the victim at the beginning. They had linked her to like trying to sell this anthrax, because of this letter, but then it turned out that her fingerprints were only on the blank piece of paper. They weren't on top of the ink. So it's starting to look like it's all a setup. Like somebody set up Croydon. It's all just sort of some elaborate.
But who?
And why? And Goran kind of says, well, and it would seem like the end game was just to humiliate me and disgrace me. Like, what?
And so then, he goes to a restaurant. This is one of the very rare times where we actually see them outside of work.
Yeah, it's Sal's restaurant.
And
what does he order?
I don't know.
Veal Parmesan. So there's this server, and like he orders it, and she's like, wow, it's like third time this week. You must really like it. And then he says something like, maybe I just like watching you write it down, which is like, whoa, Goran flirting a little bit. But Goran is like super depressed and, disheartened and discouraged at this point.
Oh, but is it all going to get better soon? No. And so, someone comes to the table.
Someone else is standing at the table.
Like, I wonder who it is, though. Like, it's no other than Nicole Wallace herself. And, she, like, sits down and, like, is just, like, pushing all of his buttons.
Oh, the scene.
And I just love, that's, like, I think that may just be my favorite scene in the entire show.
It is so good.
It's so good. So, yeah, and he's just so upset. She leaves.
So what does she say, though? She's basically...
The whole point is to make it so that he was wrong about Croydon, so he had to be wrong about her.
Yeah.
Right?
So she's saying stuff like, your insights don't have the currency that they used to. Like, and then, Goran's like, I thought that we had settled all of this, like your pathology, like your background. And she's like, no, like you were wrong about Croydon, you were wrong about me. And then she's just making these cutting remarks like, yeah, I know what it is, like, of why. And she, like, says, do you remember what you said about Moby Dick and the unrelenting pursuit of evil? I know what it was that made you so unrelenting about Dr. Croydon, like, running out on his poor, sick wife. So it's just such a dig. And then she says, but, don't worry. Now maybe you'll have more time to go to Carmel Ridge. And he's just like, wow. And like, you are just hitting all the marks.
So she leaves, and then he leaves too.
He kind of follows her out.
Well, I think he's just done. He's just so
because he couldn't have eaten his meal. I think he like goes out and follows her.
I don't
anyway.
think so. It seems to me like that she was kind of waiting. And then, she's literally just dangling her new husband in front of him. I would also like to add, her jacket in that scene is just so good.
And her blouse is really nice too.
So, he's so upset, and this just poor fool, this poor idiot who married
she's
Nicole
pretending
Wallace.
Like, I'm so glad you came. Let me introduce you. And she's making like they're old friends, and like, you should come for dinner sometime.
And he's just so mad. So then, I really like this after scene too, because we get to see, like, it's so late. It's so late.
So obviously he just goes straight from the restaurant to One Police Plaza, calls up the team, calls up the whole gang.
Yeah.
So we've got, like, Eames, Deakins, Carver, all in their sort of nighttime clothes.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, Deakins in a sweater. I never thought I'd see that, but here we are.
Yeah.
It does seem like a very kind of like intimate scene.
Yeah.
Like, Eames is like sitting on Deacon's desk, and poor Goran though, he's so upset.
The great thing is, like, at least now he knows that he didn't really mess up, right?
And Deakins and Carver just go right into believing.
Yeah, no, and they piece it together. Okay, so she must have because he's like, oh, do you have an atlas? Like, so they figure out, like, okay, so she must have known Croydon from...
when his wife left.
Because actually during that time there was an outbreak of anthrax in Bendigo in Australia, and it turns out Croydon was there and Nicole Wallace would have been there at the same time. So it all kind of, Eames is piecing it together. She probably invited herself up to Croydon's hotel room, commiserated with him, got him good and drunk, gave him some antidepressants, and then strung him up in the shower. Because he was found, we should actually note this.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's hanging in the shower.
So what does that remind us of? Maybe think back to our last podcast. There's a scene where Benjamin Linus, comes to John Locke's about to commit suicide. He talks him out of it. He gets some good information and then kills him, makes it look like he hung himself. So,
because sometimes we like to talk about, with our two podcasts, the two villains and kind of compare and contrast them. And well, I don't want to get into this, but anyways, yeah, that is something that Ben Linus and Nicole Wallace have in common. They both killed someone and made it look like a suicide by hanging in a hotel room, basically, is the point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so now they've figured it out, at least. And then poor Carver is in mid-sentence, and Goran just kind of wanders out of the room.
He's very upset.
He's very distraught. Yeah.
And then,
Okay, now this coming up, we really got to do it justice, because this might be one of my favorite scenes of the whole show.
Go ahead.
The whole series.
Go ahead.
So then Eames goes after him. He's in, I guess, the interrogation room with the mirror.
Maybe, yeah.
And he's so emotional that his voice is actually breaking a little bit. And he's like, yeah, she really got me.
She picked a man like my father.
She picked a man like my father. She got me real good. And it's just so oh, Goran. And then what does Eames say?
Then let's get her back.
Yeah. And it's just this beautiful moment of intimacy that, Goran's not going to break in front of his captain. He's not going to break in front of Carver. But there's that trust there that, he can really show his heart to Eames. And it is just the most vulnerable part of him. And that's what's so just, vicious about Nicole is, the first time we see her in Antithesis, she kind of goes at a sore spot with his mom.
Well, that's the thing, though, because he made her feel vulnerable. She's got to get him back.
Yeah, return the favor.
Yeah.
And so she goes after his dad, who, I guess we should explain a little bit. So his dad, was a bon vivant, is how Nicole describes him, was kind of out drinking and carousing while, his mom was having this mental breakdown. And Goran, even though he's so insightful, was blindsided by it, that he didn't really realize at the time. The reason that he was going after Croydon so hard is because it triggered something about his dad, right? And those resentments. So it was just, a real harpoon, to continue with that Moby Dick metaphor. She got him in his most tender spot. So how are they going to get her back?
They set up a really elaborate plan where, because the only reason that she married this Gavin Haynes guy is because she wanted to become an American citizen so that the Australian people would stop harassing her for all of her tax fraud or whatever.
Yeah, embezzlement, yeah.
So...
And he's really rich, too.
Yeah. Obviously, because he's got that thing.
Yeah, this great thing in his office.
Astronomy sphere. And so they make this plan where she has to, go in to talk to, some legal guy.
So they kind of set a trap because...
and he says that the judge that did her hearing or whatever was...
Her citizenship hearing.
Has been bribed before and stuff like that. So they're wondering if he was bribed to do her citizenship thing. So she goes to the judge's house saying, I don't know if you took a bribe, but you will not implicate my husband. I will give you whatever you want. That's how they get her. Because the judge, of course, goes and...
So it was all a setup.
It was all a setup.
And she just, walked right in.
Yeah.
Because Goran figures out that Nicole actually seems pretty fond of this husband, so that might be a blind spot for her. Because when they're talking to the sort of citizenship guy, he's like, yeah, no, this is just one of like many irregularities about your citizenship hearing. Like, we're going to have to look into it more. And so then the lawyer, who's like her husband's lawyer, says, look, like, you know, are you sure? Like, he didn't bribe the judge? Like, he loves you. And she's like, oh, it'll be fine. And he's like, well, maybe you'll be okay. But, like, he could really get into trouble if it turns out that he did bribe this judge.
So, yeah, that's how they get her. And then, you know, she's going to some, like, church-looking place. And they just arrest her right there in the street. It's a great moment. It's so, like, kind of casual.
Yeah.
Because they just walk up to her, take her bag, and arrest her.
Mm-hmm. And then we're back in the interrogation room.
Yep, which is, as we know, where all the magic happens.
That's right.
And, you know, there's, like, the argumental banter happening, and then they have, like, a bag of anthrax.
Yeah, an evidence bag, and it's like, oh, you know, and then you knew Croydon, and you knew about this, like, strain, a South African strain, and he kind of, like, tosses it in front of her.
And then something happens. He's like, wait, there's a leak in the bag. You touched the table there, and then you touched your face. And so, you know, Eames leaves to get a hazmat guy, and come back, is what I'm saying.
I know, but it's all just so we can have the one-on-one with Nicole and Goran.
Yeah. And so then, you know, she doesn't believe that it's real anthrax, but they actually have, like, a tester kit, which seems a little set-up-y, you know?
Well, she thinks, like, oh, it's confectioner's sugar. Like, even you wouldn't toss around lethal bags of anthrax, you know? And he's like, hey, you don't believe me? Like, let's do a test right now.
Because who would fake, you know, an anthrax plot? That doesn't sound, like, realistic.
Yeah. So while they're waiting for this test, they have their kind of little tit-for-tat game, right?
Mm-hmm, just, like, yeah.
And this time, it's about his dad. So she's like, did you, you know, when your dad left, did you blame your mother? And then he's like, no, like, you know how this works, like, tit for tat. I want to know about Nicole. And so it's kind of this back and forth. But again, Nicole just kind of keeps denying, you know, she's just, that's the whole point, is that Goran's wrong about her. And Goran's like, yeah, see, like, you won't even admit it, like, to yourself. And then he says to her, like, I think that you actually, there's a part of you that does love Gavin, you know, in the decent part of Nicole, hidden in that bunker you call a heart, like.
And, yeah.
And this was your one chance at happiness, and you blew it, because you had to come back for me. You had to, like, come back and get back at me because I told you the truth about yourself.
And that's the relationship, right? It's, like, back and forth. And then the test comes back. It's positive for anthrax.
Well, and actually, to do the test, we should talk about this part. Because he's got to test her hand, right? Because her hand touched the table. So he's like, give me your hand. And she's all, you know, playing it up. And like, oh, if you wanted to hold my hand, all you had to do was ask. And so now he is holding her hand and, like, swabbing it. And she's like, is it everything you hoped for?
Oh,
you know?
and he's just so mad.
And he's
just
like,
so mad.
Don't flatter yourself. You know, I see the real you. I see the part of you that all your other conquests don't. And that's when he really kind of lights into her. But it's just a very good moment.
Yeah.
We see that it does, in fact, it is anthrax, test positive. And I guess the big catch, or gotcha, is that she's not panicking, right?
Yeah.
She seems pretty calm. And Goran's like, how come you're not freaking out?
And she's like, oh, well, I got vaccinated. But the thing is, Elizabeth Hitchens has never gotten vaccinated, but Nicole Wallace has.
Because remember, she's still denying that she's Nicole Wallace.
And that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to get her for being Nicole Wallace. Like, they just want her in
and also,
jail.
What they need is probable cause for a blood test,
Right.
because it would show whether she was exposed to that particular strain of this South African anthrax. And so, like, that's what they're after. But, you know, of course, Carver is like, well, you don't have probable cause. There's no probable cause. So that's what they're looking for. And now, because of her reaction, if she is who she claims to be, Elizabeth Hitchens, and she's just been exposed to anthrax and is calm, that is apparently probable cause. And Gordon's like, hey, you know, there might still be time for you to try to put on a convincing performance.
So then, you know, conveniently Carver and Eames get in the room.
Well, they were
Eames
probably just watching the whole time.
Eames arrests her, and yeah, then there's like this intense moment where Nicole says that this isn't the end of us.
Yeah. Don't think for a moment this is the end of us, Bobby.
And then she leaves.
And then she leaves.
And then the ending scene is a little weird.
It's great though, because
it's weird and
because
good.
Goran has been such a broken man this whole episode.
And now he's all happy.
Now he's got a spring in his step. He like bounces out the door. He's like, "Hey, I'm done with her." You know, now it's your responsibility, which we find out later. Like Carver,
come on, Carver,
drops
like...
the ball. She ends up being acquitted. That's for
but they've
later.
got scones there. For some reason, they're like just eating these scones.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Gordon's like, here, have some. And then he just leaves. And then, like, Carver and Deacons are like, what are they? And Eames is like, scones.
And that's the end of the episode. So.
But it's just, like we said, jam-packed. We don't have kind of the usual, you know, like, talking to lots of people.
Yeah, that's true.
Filler, like, just the usual scenes, because there's so much that has to happen plot-wise. And I forgot to sort of check, but I don't even know how far into the episode before Nicole enters the scene, which I think is what is so brilliant about this episode, right? Is that we don't know that it's a Nicole Wallace episode. They don't show her name in the credits. It's just a real surprise that she shows up at this restaurant. So good.
So shall we get into our...
So yes, let's talk about our segments. So sometimes, you know, we have the segment of the overacting Emmy, and I think on our last episode, like, there weren't a lot of great contenders. It was all just kind of regular acting, which is always disappointing. But how about this week?
Just off the charts, overacting with no other than Croydon himself.
Yeah, Dr. Croydon. Like, this is the level of overacting
No,
we want.
This is the one. That's the one.
Really? More than, who else did we say? Like the mom from Context?
No, I think it's just right.
Okay. Because he is just freaking out. So angry, so aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah. It's wonderful. It's beautiful.
And it's good that, you know, he plays it up, because this is sort of the bait that, like, Goran unwillingly kind of gives into, you know, and it's interesting too, because normally the profile works for Goran, but this time he kind of fills in the blanks a little too quickly. You know, like we said, he keeps saying, I know the type. Oh, you know, he's a wounded idealist, like, you know, with all these grievances, and just kind of this long list of stuff. But yeah, like, Croydon is very arrogant, and when they're sort of got him in the interrogation room and they're talking about, like, this profile, and, well, we think that the suspect would kind of have all these, and he's like, only a mediocre mind would think of that.
But you know what makes me so mad? When he is so mean to Eames.
Yeah, no,
we don't do
he's
that.
Mean to both of them.
We don't do that. It's not allowed in this house.
But Eames, of course, is just whatever, calm. Like, she's brushing it off. She's not getting personally worked up like Goran is. So yes, the overacting Emmy goes to
Croydon. You would have loved
R.I.P.
asking to see the manager.
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P. Croydon. You would have loved getting way too angry on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much.
R.I.P. Croydon, you would have hated Taylor Swift. You would have been fuming about the Eras tour.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think he'd be a Trumper? Or?
Oh, well, No.
No?
Because he's smart.
Yeah.
He's, like, intelligent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but I think he would be a conspiracy theorist.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, R.I.P. Croydon. Now, this one, though, is tough because we always talk about our Goran moment, which is kind of the quintessential moment. I'll just pause for the bird.
Is this a good time to do what's in Annie's bag?
Well, let's continue with the Goran moment.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be kind of like the moment that encapsulates Goran, but Goran is a little bit off on this episode. It's not really the normal Goran because he kind of gets played by Nicole. So,
and he's very sad in it, very mopey.
So did you have a Goran moment?
Like, when he's getting riled up is pretty Goran.
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, like, you know...
Passive-aggressive personality.
He does this a few times, actually, where he'll, like, lose his temper and say, "No, you listen to me now."
Yeah.
Like,
he gets really mad.
he did that in that Holly episode, too, like the Holly from The Office.
Well, it's similar, right?
Yeah.
He gets upset because someone died in that one. Yeah.
Well, and we do get kind of hints along the way that Goran has trouble controlling his anger.
Yeah, he definitely has anger issues.
The episode I'm talking about, it's with Amy Ryan, who plays Holly from The Office. And in that episode, like, yeah, she loses her temper and like, it's supposed to be this setup, but she goes too far and she ends up actually killing her own dad. And then Goran blames himself at the end. He's like, "No, I know that anger."
And then Eames is, like, trying to console him there, too. So it's
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah. Well, my Goran moment was probably when he has that, like, moment of intimacy with Eames and says, you know, "She picked someone like my father." And because I think it shows that Goran sometimes, like, he is just so sure that he can be stubborn and he won't listen, but eventually, like, he is willing to take responsibility and he is willing to sort of admit, maybe not to the whole room, but to Eames, his partner, like, "Yeah, no, she got me, like, and I fell for it and I made a mistake." And so I think that is kind of a Goran thing. I also like that Goran just has no time for this little game that Nicole is playing, this kind of, like, flirting, you know, "If you just wanted to hold my hand." Like, he's just completely like, "Don't flatter yourself." So I like that as well. Fashion call?
Well, Nicole has very great clothing.
Yeah.
There's that one specific scene where she's in, like, the lawyer's office or whatever. I really like her shirt there. Or the sweater that she's wearing. You know, Eames is always just, like, rocking the power suits.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Eames is visibly pregnant in this episode, and there's no mention of it. There's no... but they're not trying to hide it either. It's not like those shows where she's always holding something in front of her or, like, standing behind a desk. So, yeah, that hasn't been revealed yet, but yeah, she's visibly pregnant.
Well, the next episode it will be.
Yeah, but this, remember, is the season finale, so then there's the whole summer hiatus until we get into season 3.
Oh,
and then,
so.
it becomes, you know, quite a plot point then. Well, actually, Annie noticed something interesting about the color schemes.
Right. So, in the last episode we have specifically a scene with Eames and Nicole, where they're both in white. And I don't know why they did that.
You're talking an antithesis. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of interesting. But then in this scene, or in this episode, in the last scene, they're each wearing, like, a blue... Both of them are wearing a dark
navy blue. Yeah.
Blazer with a black shirt underneath. And I wonder why they did that. Like, why they would...
Well, and even Goran is wearing navy, like a navy-colored suit. So they're all wearing this navy blue, which is interesting.
Yeah, and I think that often it's kind of an artistic choice to have a color scheme in an episode.
Yeah.
But that's very on point, like, to have all of them in the same color.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd mention that. Oh, and Carver's suspenders. We can't forget Carver's suspenders.
Yeah, we get to see Carver's suspenders.
And their night clothes.
And their night clothes.
And Carver's got, like, a real mismatched outfit going on. here.
At night?
Yeah. I think
remember.
there was like orange and green and
Oh.
but maybe I'm just tripping out.
You know who else is wearing suspenders is Gavin when they go to his
yeah.
office. So, yeah.
Girl, whatever.
And then what about the Eames one-liner?
I think that there's lots of good Eames moments.
Yeah.
Is this an episode of
Yeah.
Annie Complains About Eames?
I think it is.
So in this episode, she's got a lot of great one-liners. Or like when, she asks if they're admirers for these reporters who are leaving these notes on his desk, and
Oh, yeah.
he's like, no, they're reporters, and she's like, can they print a hand gesture? And then what else? Another one. Oh, I really love when she's showing Gavin Haynes the photo of Nicole and her French boyfriend in Thailand, and he's like, do you have anything more recent? And she's like, well, there's that, and it's their wedding photo.
Yeah.
I love that. And then for the representation scale, I think I'd put it at right here. There could be more Eames, but
not too bad.
yeah. I have my hot take.
Uh-oh.
Is that if Eames was the main detective in this episode, like if he kind of let her take the lead, there would be she wouldn't fool around with Croydon. She would, find out that it's, if she didn't let him get emotionally involved, and if she was kind of the one leading the investigation, they would have gotten to Nicole way faster, and he wouldn't have committed suicide or died.
Well, it's hard to say because I think Nicole just puts the anthrax on the train because now she got what she wanted. And so she wants to, clear Croydon. But maybe, if the investigation into him had continued, she wouldn't have done that. But yeah, you're right. Eventually, Eames would have taken it step by step. And these things that Goran realizes after the fact about, these fingerprints under the ink but not on top of it.
They would have looked at that more carefully.
But do you think that maybe Eames, why do you think that Eames didn't? Because she keeps making this face of, Goran, what are you doing in the interrogation room with Croydon? Why didn't she just kind of call him out of the room and say, can I talk to you? Or kind of try to put a stop to it?
Because she wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah. And I think she didn't want to, call him out.
And embarrass him.
They have to be a united front.
Yeah.
But she could see what was going on. And actually, I think why maybe, even though Eames doesn't have a huge amount of screen time, they really do give her a lot of credit in this episode because she is actually the only one, right from the start, that is a little bit unsure. Because even Deakins is on board.
Yeah,
right?
which is what? Highly irregular.
With Croydon and Carver as well. And Eames is a little bit kind of yeah, there's something not quite right here. So very, again, Eames is very wise. And so we see that in
this is what I've been saying all along.
And you know how, I'm always kind of I don't know which is better, antithesis or a person of interest, because antithesis has, our beloved Mark Bailey. It's got, references to, Bob Dylan. Mm-hmm. But for me, I think what kind of gives the edge to this episode is the wonderful dynamic between Eames and Goran, particularly, that moment where, she says...
But antithesis is pretty good, too.
Well, because of their undercover?
Well, no, just because of the whole thing. I don't know.
But this is such a good showcase for their relationship, I feel like. Like you said, the way that she kind of says to him she's not going to humiliate him in front of the captain, but kind of lets him know, and is honest with him, you missed it.
Yeah.
But then she doesn't...
Stay mad at him at all.
She lets it go, and then the very next morning she's like, how did you sleep? And so she's still on his side and on his team, but can be honest with him, which is why they have such a great partnership. All right, so
now we get to find my art.
Yes, let's do the art.
Yeah. here's the art for today. I had to use 2 whole pages. Isn't that insane? So, I remember that a long time ago in my old sketchbook, I made a whole thing for person of interest, but I was like, oh, so I don't have to do any art this week, but it was horrible. Like, I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's the worst art I've ever seen ever. So I redid it.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's see it again and explain what we're looking at.
Okay. So there's, like, this nice scene where they're in the rain. I just like that because I like, I think it's a little cinematic.
Yeah.
You know? And then the restaurant, he's so upset. This thing that we were going to buy,
Just move it over a little bit more so that... Yeah, so that's what we were talking about earlier. It's this, like, thing in Gavin's office.
It's an astronomical sphere. That's what they're called.
And we actually wanted to get it for, like, a prop for this podcast.
But they're a little expensive and way too large. And then there's this scene in the...
And what are the numbers you put on there?
I didn't put any numbers. Oh, well, those are just the numbers that are on there because it's an astronomical sphere.
Oh, they're the actual numbers.
Yes.
And then what does Goran do with it? He actually...
he's so, like, strange. That's actually probably the Goran moment. He, like turns... He's like, oh, sooner or later she is going to turn on you, and, like, turns it so the arrow is pointing
so it
him.
points at him. And then kind of, like, tilts it also, just for more effect. But, yeah.
So,
Very good
that's,
art.
That's the art. I would like to mention that Saskatoon has its very own Nicole Wallace.
Yes.
Named Alexa Emerson. And she's out of prison currently. She probably doesn't live here
We don't know what
I'm going to find
to
her, don't worry. That's what my thesis is going to be about.
What did she do?
She was involved in an entire anthrax plot by hiring actors to make, like, what are they called? What's the, like, you pay me this money?
Oh, like blackmail?
Yeah, like blackmail videos and all this stuff, and would send letters with, like, I think literal sugar or, like, flour or something.
Yeah.
And it saying that there's anthrax in it, and
she'd do that to, like, her ex-boyfriends.
Her ex-boyfriends and, like, people she hates, and sure enough, she got arrested.
And then I think she ended up sending one of them to her, like, lawyer because she wasn't happy with his defense of her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had our very own, like, kind of fake anthrax. Oh, you know, though, we should mention, this is kind of going back to the Eames one-liner, what was the trick with the bag of anthrax?
Oh, yeah. That it was just a harmless
Because then they explained to her, like, now we have probable cause to give you a blood test, and it'll show that you came into contact with that strain of anthrax. And she's like, well, duh, yeah, on the table. And then Eames is like, oh, like, you don't really think that, like, we throw around, like, lethal bags of anthrax.
Because that's what she'd said before that.
This is a genetically modified strain that's harmless. Mm-hmm.
So good. So good.
Yeah, so they played her pretty good.
Mm-hmm. They played her. Good
well,
cop, bad cop.
Yeah, she should have remembered.
More bad cop, bad cop.
All cops are bad cops, right? So, Annie, we have, like, a lot of explaining to do, because if we're going to make the outrageous claim that this is the best episode of Criminal Intent, like, we've got to back that up. So, why do you think it is the best episode?
Because it is. Because it's got Nicole Wallace in it. It's got, like, the emotional intensity, which people seem to really like in, like, season 8. So I feel like you're all sleeping on Person of Interest. Like,
yeah.
You know?
But it's just the right level here, though. Like, it doesn't cross the line into being sort of too personal or too extreme. Yeah, I love it. Like, it's so well written.
It's well written. It's got, like, it's another smart episode you need to follow carefully. They've got Croydon in it. They've got all the gang.
The acting is just, like...
Acting is immaculate.
Yeah.
There's, like, you know, the cat and mouse of Nicole and Goran.
Well, and just, like, the scene where Nicole confronts him, like, in the restaurant and just...
Oh, that's just my favorite scene
it's just
ever.
Burn after burn, and she's delivering it, like, so well, you know? And then she just kind of demolishes him and then says, careful, your salad's wilting. Like, just on her way out.
And
like,
he's like, He's so upset. It's like his day is ruined, his life is ruined. So, yeah.
But, I actually feel like even though that was the end game for her, like kind of gotcha, I think for Goran, there is an element of relief there, even though he's like so mad and disappointed in himself that he got played. Because it's better to have been played by Nicole than to actually be responsible for this innocent man's death, right?
And then I'd also like to say that in season 8 or 7, there's a lot of angst and and I don't know why people wanted Goran and Eames to beat themselves up so much, but they really did. And so that's what I like about this episode. He only is upset for a little while.
Yeah, and then he gets vindicated in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
so a great episode. And then, it's sort of not the end of the story, of course, because this episode gets revisited in season 3 while Eames is on maternity leave.
Boo! Boo!
But somebody else kind of tries the same trick with Goran that, tries to point suspicion at this sort of deadbeat dad. And then Goran doesn't quite get so carried away because the evidence just isn't there. But then at the end, he's kind of like, oh, Croydon, Eames would have known. Eames would have recognized it.
Stupid Bishop is like,
and Bishop's just like, what? Poor Bishop, though. He's just going off on Croydon, Wally Stevens, this guy's trying to play me, and Eames would have caught it. And
well, maybe she should be better then.
How is she supposed to know?
I will say that episode has St. John in it.
And should we tell them the bad news about Carver? So now, when Goran's she's your problem because now she's been arrested and they thought that she would plead, want a plea deal, but no, her husband's got a lot of money, so she's going to run a whole-scale defense.
Right. And Carver loses it. Come on, Carver.
She gets, the jury finds her not guilty, and we find that out in season 3, but it's sort of which, they kind of have to do so that Nicole is on the loose and can come back and do something again. Wouldn't really work if she was in jail for the rest of her life, but come on, Carver.
Something I like about the Nicole Wallace ones, though, are that Deakins and Carver are always on their side. Because especially in the earlier seasons, sometimes Carver is like, oh, you guys, your far-fetched theories, but they're always, with him on this one.
Yeah. So that's a person of interest we have now come to the end of.
So now I'm going to have post-podcast depression.
It's a little bit tough because, we've still got, I think, 9 episodes to go, but we feel okay, this is the peak here. And because, season 2, not only, is this episode the best one, but season 2, we believe, is really the peak of the show.
Bring it back.
In some ways,
Bring it back.
We feel like it's a little bit downhill from here, but no, because we actually still have lots of great episodes coming up to enjoy. So,
such as? What's the next one we're doing?
Well, the next one is actually our first season 3. I'm not really sure which episode, in terms of the number, but it's The Gift is going to be our next one. So I hope you can join us for that. Before we go, maybe we should give a little update on our dreams of Toronto.
Right.
So as you may remember, we really want to meet Cookie Kaspari.
The one and only. So this is Wait a second. Is this an episode of Please Carbono, come to Toronto, we're begging you?
I think it is.
Please, Carbono, please come to Toronto, we're begging you. Yeah. We're begging you.
We're still not quite over the disappointment of Calgary.
Mm-hmm. You really hurt us there. We could work towards forgiveness. Maybe.
And then kind of along the similar lines, I think we should report Annie's making a little bit of progress in terms of her crippling fear of Joe Gage.
You better not put her in there.
Okay. Also, Annie was really mad at me for putting pictures of
because I was watching, I was drawing, and then I was, I feel like the more that's going on in my life, the more focused I am. So I've got a candle going, I have my record player playing, my computer is playing the podcast, and I'm drawing all at the exact same time. And so I'm like watching the podcast on 2 times speed because I'm too impatient.
Yeah.
And then I start talking about you know who. She who shall not be named.
Since when?
And then like I like look up and it's right there, and I screamed. I was like, you caught me so off guard there. Why would you edit her in? Why would you do that?
So people know who I'm talking about.
They can look it up.
Anyway, so I was really concerned. But it turns out this week Annie made a lot of progress. And what did you do?
This is highly irregular, okay? Like, this is super out of character. Me and my little brother watched The Goonies because we're trying to watch all of the, 80s coming of age.
Yeah.
Ooh! We're so in sync movies. And can I just say, Sean Astin is so cute in that. He's so adorable.
And yet, so then I said, do you have the same maternal feelings now for Sean Astin as you do Elijah Wood? And she was like, no.
I only have 3 kids, okay, whom I love equally. So,
yeah, anyway.
There's favorites.
But, I mean, in case you're not connecting the dots here, Martha Plimpton, who plays Joe Gage, is in The Goonies, and yet Annie watched it. So she's gone from, screaming every time she sees her to being able to watch the show she's in. So I think maybe we don't have to drag her off to Carmel Ridge, maybe.
Something that's so sad, though, is that drawing I made of my predictions at the Comic-Con, not a single one of them came true. Well, the Roger Guy one, a little bit.
Yeah. And then Annie said, if we do go to Toronto, maybe we should go to the Goonies panel.
Well, will I be screaming? Just for the first half.
No.
Just for the first half. And then I'll be okay.
Okay, well, so anyways.
So, if it's a half an hour, you just have to hear me screaming for 15 minutes, but then I'll be okay.
So stay tuned. We'll see is she going to come to Toronto? Are we going to go?
But Cooking Kaspari, you better be there. If you're not, we're going to find you.
Yeah, but, if we can't go, then,
we shouldn't go.
It would be even worse.
Oh, yeah. If we can't go, though, don't go.
Yeah. But we're still begging you to go.
We're still begging you to go, but don't go if we're not there, though.
All right. So on that very confusing note, we will say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us, and please tune in next week.